Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Health meeting. Today is Monday, April 27th. It is 5:30 p.m. I'd like to call the meeting to order. First item is to review the agenda. Do we have any items that need to be added or removed?
I don't think we have anything to be removed. Eileen, do you have anything to add?
Okay.
I think we're okay.
All right. Do we have a bill schedule?
No, we don't.
Do we have any minutes to approve?
We do not.
Okay. That's easy. Now we move. Can't do any of the. We gotta stay away from those till 6 o'clock. So we'll go right into agenda items. Start with director's issues and correspondence.
Sure. So in your packet, we have. I think I can jump down to F for the AED information. Okay. I think I had supplied this at the last meeting just for informational purposes. But Steve had requested some information on AEDs and cardiac arrest in town, and I was able to speak with the fire chief, Chief Coleman, and he provided the information. So I just wanted to bring that back to the board and obviously give that to you if there's some discussion that you wanted to have or any advisement. We can certainly take that. But I at least wanted to provide the information formally to you.
Thank you. I did approach Darlene about AEDs and the Board of Health recommending, and again, simply recommending public facilities consider maintaining AEDs and appropriately trained staff. Curious in regards to the number of cardiac arrests that the fire department responds to here in town. The numbers really don't surprise me that much. I can appreciate the chief taking the time to do that. 39 and 20 transported, 37 and 21 transported. Unfortunately, the fire department, by the looks of this, does not keep a specific inventory of where they occur, although the chief anecdotally says most of them are residential. I was reading a recent study done out, I believe it was Seattle, and the probability of having an AED certainly, beyond just the study in Seattle, greatly enhances the survivability of a lot of cardiac arrest events. However, what they determined is, through their study, they would have needed somewhere in the vicinity of 375,000 AEDs placed throughout the city to actually have any effect. Where they found the highest probability of actually needing an AED were in the high public areas such as the ferry transit and train and airports. So looking at that, they said they, again, and that leaves about 375,000 other places to have them installed to make any kind of difference. But based on that, do we know if there are any AEDs already at the mall?
At the mall, I would have to, I wouldn't want to guess.
Okay.
But I would say that, Eileen, have you seen one in the food court?
Yeah.
We can certainly check on that. I think it's great. It's
There
a
must
great
be some
discussion.
down there at some location.
Yeah.
It probably isn't standing right out at us,
Yeah.
Right.
but
We can certainly find out and bring that back to you for the next meeting, because I know
Yeah, that'd be
Eileen's going to
good.
be in.
But I mean, the Little League has one in there.
Yeah.
The Shack at Pappas
At the park.
Recreation.
Yeah.
There's a couple of the schools have them.
So,
And a lot of the town buildings, obviously,
Right,
we do
right,
have
right.
a listing of the town buildings that they're in as well.
Right.
So we have two actually in here in the town hall. This
Yeah.
floor and first floor we have senior center, we have library, obviously the fire department has,
Right.
Police station. So we do have, the schools
Yep.
have them. And
For the commercial buildings, you brought up the training of it. That aspect is missing in a commercial building, depending upon where you place it. who's trained to use it,
Right.
should they need to.
Right.
So I think there would need to be more responsibility on the mall owners to where it was
Oh, yeah.
placed, and if
Yeah.
someone was trained to use it.
Yeah.
We also-
The only good thing about the new ones is
They talk to you.
they read you, read you right through it,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
great. So if somebody, they have it set up now, so even somebody, if they get it started, they can get it working, get it moving, because it won't shock until it'll read before it shocks. So
Right.
I was trained on it like 7 years in a row, and the new ones are amazing. You don't have to. So I mean, yeah, the training's there, but they say anybody can grab it, put it down, and
They
start
gotta know,
it.
they gotta know that when they open it, it's gonna talk to them,
Yeah.
Right.
you know, it,
Mm-hmm.
But again, the probability of, could we ask every business that came forward for a plan review or something like that, again, only suggesting that they consider installing one in their place of business.
Yeah.
I think outside of having, again, the high, such as a study on the West Coast, the numbers even in a large city as Seattle, the numbers of cardiac arrest events at the transit stations was remarkably low, considering their overall number of arrest events. So, from my perspective, it would be great to have one in every restaurant. It would be great to have a couple in the mall. Percentage-wise, though, we're looking at a handful of public area events from what Chief had mentioned.
I mean, here's what we can do. I mean, I like the idea of doing a suggestion. If somebody comes to us with a new establishment, it's something we can certainly have you considered,
Right.
putting one of these in. But you can do it as a suggestion, but you can also, that might be something at the time that we renew our permits, might be something that we can put on the application. Does your facility contain an AED? Just so we can get an idea of maybe where
What's
they're
out there.
located.
Yeah.
It's not, we can be clear, it's not a
Non-binding, it's
requirement.
just
Right, it's not a
right.
requirement, we're just trying to,
Right.
informational purposes, we could essentially find out where they were
Yeah.
located in food establishments,
Thank you.
would that be something that you may like to consider?
I mean, it's always good to know. I don't think it's going to really change anything that the board would do as far as
Yeah.
policy making or anything
Right.
like that. Where there's a high flow of, the public. And looking in the town of Arbon, the highest flow of public I can think of is the mall.
Yeah.
As I had mentioned, I had a couple of
Yeah.
friends out at one of the malls out along the 128, 495 belt area, and a gentleman passed out and cardiac arrested right in front of him in this very large mall. Did not have an AED. And it was not the first time that issue had happened, according to the fire department that responded. So, had there been an AED, would there have been a difference? Studies show that there's a higher probability of survival. But
But can they find the AED? That's the problem.
that's the other
I mean,
thing.
Joe Smo here is here.
Right.
We're down the mall.
Yeah.
Anyone got an AED?
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So,
The good thing is our mall is small enough that they put two in
Yes.
there.
or even one in their security office
Yeah,
or the
they
can get it out
there,
kiosk
yeah.
where
I know that
there's-
too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They get radios, they can call it out, and
Exactly.
somebody can be there because every second counts.
Yeah.
It might be something too, I mean, we don't necessarily have to put it on paperwork renewal, but when Eileen's in there, or, might be something we can just do on the checklist.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice,
Thank you.
thank you, thanks for bringing it up.
yeah.
So I wanted to also let you know for the septic update, we are, spring is hit. We have quite a few perk applications coming in. We have Title V's starting to come in, and people just generally calling with septic questions and well questions. So we have, I think right now, 2 perk applications. We're scheduling perks right now. We have some Title V failures that we'll be following up on, and septic plans. We have at least 2 maybe 3 plans in the works. So I just wanted to let you know we are responding to quite a few septic inquiries. Also, in your packet, you have a correspondence for a septic correspondence for
514 Rochdale.
514 Rochdale, yep. So a Title V request has been made, and we'll be following that as well. So that is, that's taking up a good amount of time right now. Animal control update, I also wanted to let you know that the animal control officer has started sending out the licensing letters. The licensing, she's doing it alphabetically, so we've started the process. So anybody that has dogs that are not licensed for this season, we are asking everybody to come in to the town clerk and get the dog licensed. She's also responding to complaints up at the various parks where people are walking their dogs to be able to make sure people are picking up after their dogs and carrying bags to, you know, to pick up the feces and so forth. We've already received quite a few inquiries about that. So she's been very busy with that. And I just checked with the town clerk. The licensing traffic has increased, so people are responding to the letters. The solid waste update for the yard waste pickup, that has already started. And we'll be continuing for approximately, I think we have six Saturdays that we are doing between now and May. So the information is on the town website. People can access the pickup dates there. The compost bins and chaps containers, I just wanted to also remind people that we do have those available. The small little kitchen scrap buckets are $10, and the large compost bins are $55. And then we have various sharps containers for sale, $2 and is it 4? I think it's 2 and 4 for the small and the large sharps containers. The conflict of interest training update, just to get the certificates to me when you finish the training.
You should already have mine.
Yeah, I think I have some already, and that's something that the town clerk is just reminding all of us. This is the time of year to get that updated. And then the office update, I think I had mentioned to you, but we are missing a member of our team tonight who has recently retired. Paula, our office assistant, retired after 27 years. So we had her last day was on Friday, and she is probably enjoying today, not having to do minutes. Hopefully she's watching from home and relaxing. So that is the update for what we have, I think, for the director's update. And then I did have one more thing that had come in. We had a letter come in last week for the Coalition for Responsible Retailing. I think I have been sending to you right along over the past month or two. We are getting a lot of correspondence on the tobacco movement and tobacco, a lot of legislative changes, and there's a lot happening with e-cigarettes, any tobacco products that are geared towards kids. These letters are coming. There's a lot of organizations that are out there involved, really paying attention to any local regulations regarding tobacco control and so forth. So I just wanted to at least bring to your attention that those came in. Cheryl Sabara from the MHOA has responded to that formally, and she believes the strongest advocates are going to be the not only the state legislation, but also the local boards of health that can offer local regs to limit the sales to youths. So I just wanted to let you know those still come in on a regular basis. I think that is about it. Do you have questions for me?
Nope.
Okay. And then we have, I think Eileen was going to give you an update.
Yeah, Ray, you had asked at the last meeting for us
Yep.
to look for the risk ratings.
Well, not risk, I just wanted to know how many establishments they had under each risk, but total establishments is what I was looking for, just numbers.
Yep, I have total,
Okay.
and then
Okay.
we just kind of started, like I told you, it'll be a
Yep.
work in progress. So we currently have 147 establishments.
Yep.
The FDA categorizes 4 levels of risk.
Okay.
They do it by numbers. I know we were doing it low, medium, high.
Yep.
And the high plus is the nursing homes. And so the high plus, which is nursing homes, and me and Darlene had discussed putting in those that have a HACCP plan, and those that we have one individual place that has time as temperature, instead of temperature control. So I added them into the high plus.
Okay.
Because they have variables. There's 7 of them.
Okay.
Just in the regular high, I included full-service restaurants, big box stores, grocery stores, the schools, and then like the seafood stores, things that had a little more than just a convenience store. We have 40 of them.
Okay.
Medium are your full-service coffee shops,
Okay.
fast food restaurants. They're all food service, but a little more than just frozen. They're actually preparing fresh food. And so pizza shops,
Yep.
I put them in the medium because they are doing some of their own sauces and stuff. And then the low, I did convenience stores, liquor stores, gas stations, the prepackaged food stores. And although they might be heating and serving food, it's already prepared and
Yep.
frozen food. I kind of started there with them 4.
Okay.
Not refined,
Yep.
but that gives us our 147.
So did you have the medium and low split, or you right now you're still working on that split?
I had 42 for medium, 58 for low.
Okay,
Because
cool.
the 58 is a high number, Ray, because I included almost everyone in the mall.
Yep.
So that number kind of rises because of that. We have a lot of gas stations in town.
Yep.
But I included like a Dunkin' Donuts because all of their food that they're serving is frozen. They're
Yep.
not preparing any fresh food.
Yep.
And so I kind of separated them from coffee shops
Yeah.
that actually are diner coffee shops. And so it kind of increased what we have for low.
Yep.
It may not be where we want to keep them, but at least it was a start.
No, that's
until we can kind of
Yep.
like look forward and see.
With the food protection program and Mike Moore, they say anybody who serves more than 5 gallons of milk a day is medium.
Oh, okay.
So
See,
your
that's
your Dunkin' Donuts could move up because
Yeah.
they're pouring cream and milk. So dairy is what they consider anything milk product. Is so I would move the Dunkin' Donuts and stuff like that into the medium risk
Yeah,
just
okay.
because they have the dairy.
Yeah.
But other than that, gas stations, your Sears that may have candy,
Yeah,
you know,
all of
stuff
that.
like that. That's all low risk.
And that's why I said our number for low kind of jumped up because
But-
I felt like I was putting everything in
Well-
medium. And I said, what's the point of this?
Yeah.
So
Well,
I,
the funny thing is, when I was in Framingham, we had 406 locations. 132 were low risk because we had
25%.
all the we had the big shopping plazas. We had all those places. We had a ton of gas stations. A lot of local what do you call them? Local spas, or you know, bodegas, or whatever you want to call them. We had local places like that. So those are the ones that we kept in our lows. So we had a big number at 138.
Yeah.
I was expecting right around 50 for Auburn. I figured 30% of what we have would be
Right.
close to where we would be, and that's what I was expecting. Just because that's all that number's going to come out. So you may pull the Dunkins off of that, or the
Yeah.
Honeydews and stuff like that. You may end up with 49, but still you're going to be right around that 50 range, I think, because we have so many gas stations and convenience stores and stuff like that.
Right.
Where that's going to work out, and those numbers are just as we get through the year, if we get behind, those are the ones that can be a phone call and say, hey, has anything changed? Have you added anything? Okay, thank you very much. We'll stop in sometime to see you guys. And then it's done, and you don't have to go. I mean, that's part of the, I actually sat down at one of the FIAC meetings, which is the food, I don't even know what it's they run them out in Southborough. And we went out to a meeting, and I actually sat with Mike Moore and talked to him about it, because we don't have it in Westboro yet. We haven't divided out, but we don't know who we're gonna put. And he says, Ray, he said, you know, it's one of those things where they don't have to be done twice a year. Do you really need to go to Victoria's Secret twice a year? for their chocolate and mints.
Yeah.
So it's to help the boards of health get their 100% with everything. So I spoke to him about it, and I said, well, you know, we want to do this, we want to do that. He says, if you have enough staff and you can get them done, by all means, do your 2 inspections. But for a town like Auburn, where it's just you on the road right now, you're going to get hit with all your temporary events. You got all the summer stuff coming up. You're going to get behind. You're going to say, geez, where do I draw the line?
Yeah.
Well, that's the place we draw the line. We say, okay, we've been to them once this year. Next is a phone call. That's something that can be done by somebody in the office, that somebody can make a phone call and say, hey, this is so-and-so from the Board of Health. Just want to make sure everything's all set. You know, have you added, like, if you're calling Victoria's Secret, have you added on any other candies or anything? You just still have that small display. Oh, we just have the small display. All right, thanks. Someone might be in to visit you in the next couple months. And whether you go or you don't go, the state says it's fine. And you sign it, you fill out just a little card saying a phone inspection. And put the person's name you spoke to, blah, 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 put it in the file, you're done. Because it's a low risk. I mean, it's like we have like the Bob stores and Marshalls and stuff like that. We're not going in there twice a year. Right now we have a part-timer, so I send him in. I go, all right, Bob, those are yours. You know, just to keep him busy. But with you out here by yourself, you don't have time to going out to those. So the reason I was asking for this is because I'm trying to help you get your job done so we can get, because before you got here and before Darlene got here, we were struggling at 42%. We need to be above 75%. I mean, when I came on the board, the mandate I was given when I was placed on the board by Charlie and the selectmen was to get the numbers out without spending money. And we did. And then they went down again. So I'm looking for whatever way we can help you to get the numbers up. And that's my goal. Is just, I'd love to see them in the 75% range. Are they going to get there? I don't know. But that's where I'd like to see them.
Yes, get her another partner.
Yes, we would like that.
It'd be nice.
I think that the sheer volume of what we do, just even in the amount of education, outreach, and temporary events, things that go on that take up, you know, her time, my time. It's really about, you know, you have a lot of, you know, charitable events that come into town that are yearly events, you know. Those take time, paperwork. Once you kind of go through and they become a staple, it's a little bit easier. But anybody starting off, like we had just a recent inquiry for a residential kitchen, it takes time. It takes time to go through, explain the process, get them out educational material, have them coordinate with not just us, but building department, is planning involved. So, you know, it's kind of a multifaceted approach, because in order to give people the right advisement,
it takes time.
it takes some
Research.
some time. Right, exactly.
And that's why I said I was looking before it, because I know we haven't done that in town yet, but once you get a list and you get 35 to 45 off for the second 6 months of the year, or however you want to do it, or you can split up those throughout the entire year, however it works. I'm just looking to make sure we can get the numbers up, and one way to do that is to take what the state said, and the state food protection program is saying you only have to go to these guys once a year. Let's take advantage of that and get ourselves caught up and make sure where we need to be. And the other good thing is residential kitchens, once they've been on for a year or two, they're not supposed to be doing any high-risk foods, so they become low risk, because they're not supposed to be doing anything that has to have refrigeration or anything like that. Once it's made, it's supposed to be a non-PHF. So if it's a non-PHF, there you go.
It's a non-PHF
The
after,
final
but
product.
they're-
Final product, yeah.
But they're doing food prepreration and food service.
But it's Mike actually told me that, because their end product is that way. It's a non-PHF, that it
so
becomes
it's
a low
one
risk.
for actually the.
Yeah, but that's why I say you give it a couple years. Once you've gotten in there and see what they're doing, and once you're comfortable with the person, you can move them onto a list like that.
We do have, We have one residential kitchen, we have another one we're starting up now, and one that's, we're still waiting to come through. But most of them are very active in our temporary events here in
Yeah.
town. So I do get a lot of one-on-one time
Yep.
with the one that we have now, and the one that's coming in is gonna be doing farmer markets. So we're at an advantage rate, because they're actually presenting their food here in town. We're able
good.
to
You're gonna
to
see,
their
you're gonna
food.
see them more, so.
Absolutely.
That's good.
Also, we just have, it's that time of year for our vacant properties. So we've been around checking them all out and going through our bank contacts and working on them. And we opened, I'm sure you all know, because you saw the sign, that Ronnie's has opened.
Yeah.
So that's our first big
Ronnie's and
seasonal.
Coco's. The
Oh,
seasonals.
Coco's opened actually in February.
Yep.
But Ronnie's just opened a couple weeks ago.
So the seasonal places are, we have,
Yeah, you'll have the miniature golf and
Yeah.
their whole
Yeah, we have one
stand
more.
coming in.
Yeah.
and then I also have the, Eileen, are you done? Okay. The communicable disease report
Okay.
for last month. Can I provide?
please.
Thank you.
Any other new establishments besides just the seasonals opening?
No, we have just some renovations coming up. Wendy's is doing their new image. Pub 99 actually is picking up their permit. They will be starting their new image, and it's their dates are out there, starting May 7th. They're gonna be starting to do cosmetic, mainly in nature, a couple wall changes, and they're opening again on May 21st. So we have all their dates set up for
I thought hepatitis was out.
pre-inspection and final inspection. Wendy's, I think, I just chatted with Wendy's today, and they're putting theirs off to the fall, so.
Okay. Any major nuisance complaints coming up with any of that? Either food or housing or anything like that? No? Because I know once the snow goes away, you start getting trash calls and, we're starting to get some of those.
We actually, because the snow was so late, we were working on some in January, and then the snow kind of prevented it. So we're working actually with a few management companies.
Okay.
So I was on vacation last week, but the week before that, we kind of went out to address those that had done some work in January, and now that the snow's gone,
Yeah.
we can see them. But we have a list of vacants that we'll start going around and just doing site observation visits.
We also, this is a good time to tell you, we did get quite a few trash complaints just even in the past week, but the Chamber of Commerce, the Auburn Chamber of Commerce and the town of Auburn is working together for their, every 2 years they have an event. So the Chamber of Commerce puts on a cleanup the town event, and so that's going to be this coming Saturday.
Yeah, it's the second one.
And so I know that we would love to have volunteers come out and help pick up litter. There's even this morning, we just so much. There's litter all around the water banks, the Auburn Pond, the streams. Just, I mean, really, since everything kind of started blooming, there's just trash and litter everywhere. So that event is this Saturday, May 2nd. Everybody is starting at the fire station right here on Auburn Street, and it goes from, I believe it's 7:30 to 11, something to that effect.
They provide food afterwards. Well, in the past, I know they've
Yeah, they
had
do.
somebody provided food.
Yeah, it's actually a very nice community event because there's a lot of community partners. They offer gloves and T-shirts for the kids and so forth. There's a luncheon at Outback Steakhouse immediately following. So if you come for a couple hours, help clean up, and then everybody heads over to the Outback for a luncheon that they put on. There's also some metal recycling that we're taking on that day. And
How are you doing that? Are you going up and down the streets, or?
yeah, they actually have teams. So they'll send out teams of people for certain areas of town that that they want to have people kind of scattered around to pick up. Last time we had, I think it was a team that was on Rochdale Street, actually, kind of like a section of Rochdale. They found like something like 25 tires, 20 tires. So it's really a good event. We have partnerships with Allied Republic. They do the trash and recycling. They haul that away as a donation. They also take the metal recycling as a donation. I think there's Masterman's donates a lot of like the gloves, and there's a number of donators to help, you know, kind of make it a really nice
I know
event.
Gerton Trophy used to donate the t-shirts and
Yeah,
stuff like
yep.
that.
I know there's I don't know what company this year is doing the t-shirts, but it really is a nice event. We have a informational flyer that's on the town website. And I believe they also have it on the local cable access channel. If anybody is interested in volunteering or has questions about it, they can certainly give us a call at the Board of Health, 832-7003, and either Eileen or myself can help answer questions.
Good.
But it's really, really a nice event, and we encourage people to come out and help.
Okay. All right, anything else under agenda items that we need to discuss before we go into the hearings?
I don't think so. I think we're caught up.
Okay. We are at 6:02. I'd like to open the first hearing, 187 Leicester Street Emergency Temporary Housing Request.
Yes, thank you. So in your packets, you have a request from American Mobile Homes that was received last week for 187 Leicester Street. There was a house fire there, and the family has been displaced, which is the reason for the mobile home request. Due to the sensitivity of how fast they needed housing, I did speak with the building inspector. He had responded to the emergency and had also spoken with the family and the American Mobile Home Company. So this request, because of the nature of it, I did give approval, but I wanted to obviously have you ratify it, you know, because of, you know, all temporary housing goes through the board.
Okay. Any other evidence to be given?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. We have a motion to close the evidentiary part of the hearing.
I make that motion.
And second.
We have a motion and a second to
Second.
close the evidentiary part of the hearing. How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. So 3 ayes.
Thank you.
All right. So now, any discussion between the board members? I think it's pretty much cut and dry.
Right.
Okay. Do we have a motion to close the discussion part of the hearing?
I make that motion.
Now second.
Okay. Motion and a second. How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. 3 ayes to close that. Now, just waiting for a motion on the temporary housing. It's just ratifying Darlene's already, so we just need a ratification saying yes, that we approve her approval.
Move to ratify the approval of the temporary housing
Okay.
approval.
All right, do we have a second?
I second.
All right, roll call vote. Marion, how do you vote?
Aye.
Steve, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ray votes aye.
Thank you very much.
No problem, I just need a motion to close the hearing.
I make that motion.
And second.
All right, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Hearing's closed. We have 6 minutes before the next hearing. Anytime something like that happens, Eileen, if you want to just give us a call and say, hey, this is what I'm doing, we can vote over the phone on something like that.
Yeah.
We've done it with Andy. Andy will call individually and say, this is what's going on. I'd like to do this and get them temporary housing. And we can give you a yes or no with the phone, and you just write the notes down. We've done it at least over the last 5 years. Andy's
Yes,
called me almost,
he
at least.
even called at the beach. I'm
Yeah.
on the beach chair. He'll call me at the beach.
I was on vacation once. He called me on vacation. He says, hey, Ray, I don't want to take too much of your time. This is what's going on. How do you feel? And you can still, if you get 2 no's and a yes, you can still do it and then bring it to us after. But that way, you already have the ratification. You don't have to worry about bringing it to us. You know, it's one of those things where you'll already get the vote and you can just write it down saying, polled these, how did Andy used to write it? I think Andy used to say polled the board over the phone individually, and then he'd write down our name and whether we said yes, and he'd put it in the file, and you'd be good to go. So that way, it's one of those things that's kind of a non-issue for us. If you want to do it, we have no problem with it. Give us a call, it's done. You don't have to worry about bringing it to the board in the meeting, so.
Chapter 40, or Chapter 40A, does that specify only the time that the temporary housing is allowable, or does it specify plumbing codes, electric codes, fire codes, things like that?
So before I actually approved this, I had spoken with the building inspector.
Yes.
And they had, my concerns were to make sure that the water service and the sewer service,
Right.
because those are the two things that
Right.
would involve health, were going to be connected by somebody, a licensed plumber. And he did confirm that they had a professional
Right.
involved.
Yeah.
So I had already confirmed that
Right.
before we even talked about approving it. So as part of the application to the building department, in order to do that, they have the sign-offs from both the electrical inspector and plumbing inspector to make sure that a professional has done the work. And then through that, then Caleb, as the building inspector, gives his authority to say, yes, you know, we have all the correct connections made
Right.
in accordance with the codes. So that part I did,
Right,
that's not here, but I did that behind the scenes.
right. You mentioned that. But does Chapter 40A specify that, or does Chapter 40A just
Oh, I'm sorry, I
go on a
thought you were
timeline?
asking. I don't know if Chapter 40A identifies that. I'm
Yeah.
guessing they've put that in there. Normally, we would, in previous requests that I've dealt with,
Right, hard connections.
hard connections, but I don't know what this board had done, but we had done like a 6-month period at a time. So you could do this, the temporary housing, in 6-month increments. They're identifying they have up to a year. I mean, I don't think the family wants to
Staying.
really live in a mobile home
Right.
for a year.
Oh, okay.
I would imagine, I don't think it usually takes that long, but in previous temporary housing experience that I've had, I've seen boards that will do it. So if it's coming close and they're not quite ready, you could do another, like a renewal. And I don't know what your experience has been.
It would depend on the property. I know we've done, I think 4 since I've been on the board. We had one that was, Andy went out after a year because Chapter 48 does say they have up to 1 year and then it has to be, they're supposed to be out, but we actually extended it for like 3 months because they had an issue with the house they were building. It was the same thing, it was either fire or some kind of damage, and that's what they went into. Then we had the one over on the house that got hit by the bus.
Yeah.
They never put it in there.
Swanson.
Huh?
They never put it in.
They never put in, we approved it, and they never put it
built
in.
the house.
They built the house and
Yeah.
they rebuilt the house. We approved and what they ended up doing was they wanted approval to put a mobile home on the property because they were staying with family members and they didn't want to overstay their welcome or they were having problems, and then they never put the mobile home in. We approved it and they ended up staying with family members anyways. But it worked out, they were fine, but yeah, I've done 3 or 4. We had one that Andy and I had to go out because we found out it wasn't potable water. They had a hose. And they had a garden hose and they were filling stuff and boiling, and Andy and I went out and went, no. So we made them hard, plumb right to the water that they already had going into the house, so. And I think that's in the housing code, where if there is a mobile home, it has to meet codes, so.
Food grade codes.
Yeah, so. All right, we got 1 more minute before we can go into the next
But like you had said, in these types of situations where the board's not meeting, you know the obvious
Yeah.
applicable codes that
Yep.
need to be met, and from the health board's concern, so.
Yeah. And something like that, I mean, that's a time constraint one.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
it-
that's why I
Yeah,
approved
you-
it.
yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
didn't realize that in the past they call.
Andy used to do that. I want to say we had at least 1 a year, right, Marion?
Absolutely.
At least 1 a year, Andy would call us. He'd call me on a closure of a restaurant or a closure of we had a mini mart that had a broken door, and he had told them to fix it, and then they said no. So he closed them down. He called us on the phone and said, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to make a closure. I know it's up to me, but I want the board to know. And we all approved. I think that was me, you, and Ms. Ray was on the board list at that point. So, but all right, look at that, perfect. See, I knew I could ramble long enough. Okay, it is now 6:10. I would like to open. Actually, I'd like to continue the hearing from 3:30:15. That was 65 Burnett Street, alternative solid waste disposal request. And wasn't that also a? They were looking for a. I want to make sure this is the.
Well, this is, it's really a follow-up from the
Okay.
last meeting because at the last meeting, you had,
We had some questions.
yeah, you had some
Okay.
questions, so I just at least wanted to bring the information back to you.
Sure.
Because you actually had voted already
Yep.
on it.
Mhm.
This was just kind of a follow-up
Okay.
to that, that discussion.
Okay.
So instead of saying continuing the hearing, we are going to continue a discussion. Because it's not a
Absolutely.
hearing, because we had a vote and the hearing was over. So,
You got it.
okay.
So, for the property that we had a abatement request, 65 Burnett, there was, if you recall, the owner of the property or the owner's representative of the property had asked for an abatement for 2 different bills. And you had provided approval for an abatement for the bill, the current billing cycle,
Yep.
for $148. And then there was a separate request for the previous billing cycle. And there was discussion that the owner's rep had called in the middle of the billing cycle. So there was a discussion of whether or not
We could
you could
prorate or
do,
whatever.
right, that you could apportion, I think is what the terminology that the assessor uses. So, and again, not having the experience with the board on all these previous, all of your previous abatements, I figured out the apportion amounts, and I think provided some of that information to you. However, the history that you have explained is that the billing gets done in 6-month
Increments.
6-month increments, that you also wanted some feedback from Solid Waste Advisory. So Solid Waste Advisory hasn't met formally as a board. However, I did get some advisement from the chair, and they did also support the fact that, to their knowledge, since we've been doing abatements over the past several years, again, 6-month 6-month increments is what the billing is.
Okay.
So they didn't have anything different that they were breaking down by months, and I wanted to just circle back and provide that information to you, because I think you had made the decision that you were approving one request
Yep.
but denying the other, so you've already made that decision. But you also wanted to just get some feedback to be able to have that.
To go forward.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Additionally, I also spoke with the assessor, and she also, it's her experience and her knowledge that it's always done in 6-month
Yep.
increments. I think at one point, and I don't know the exact time frame this was, but she did offer, at one point, the town did a portion, so they broke it down so that if somebody wanted to get a abatement on certain times of the year, they were doing that. And she said that it was very, very, very cumbersome administratively,
Yep.
because it's starting. This kind of came into play a lot when there was people that may leave for certain times of the year and come back. So there were a lot of abatement requests regarding that. There's also, with vacant properties, we deal with this a lot, where somebody may move out and if the trash containers, if they don't identify that to the assessor's office in a timely fashion, the toters don't get picked up, and then a new family moves in, and now trash is continuing, but they haven't signed up for a trash service, so it becomes, you know, a miscollection
Yep.
for the town rolls. So I just wanted to, this is more of bringing information back to you so that you can, you know, just verify that you are,
I kind of wanted to confirm our position.
yeah,
And that's
absolutely.
what it was, because we've been doing it since we took over trash. It's 6 months. Whether you use 1 month or 6 months of it, you pay for 6 months. That's the way it was. That's the way it was shown to us by when the regs came to us.
Yeah.
And it was more or less, I just wanted to confirm what we were doing is correct.
Sure.
And as long as we're all on the same page, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
That's what I was looking for.
And that's what, I wanted to bring that information back to you. I also wanted to let you know, after the last meeting, you had 2 abatements that you had approved. Those were brought down to the assessors. They processed those, and those
Okay.
came off of, you know,
billing.
the tax
Good.
billing. The one for 65 Burnett, we still have the one that you denied. So that one would, I would provide information, again, if you're comfortable with that, to the requester about what the process is if they choose to appeal the decision. So I did also get that information from the assessor, so I can provide that to them. It's actually to the Commonwealth of Mass.
Yep.
So, you know, I know there was, you know, whether you go through housing court
Yeah.
or through the town, it actually goes through the Commonwealth. So I'll provide that information to them as well, and if they wanted to go that route, they certainly have the ability to. So, again, just giving you information, making sure that, you know, what your wishes are and what your decisions are, for me to move forward with giving advisement to the requester of the abatement is you're comfortable with. Okay, wonderful.
Sounds good. All right. At this point, we can schedule our next meeting.
Yeah, I had a couple of dates. So in May, we've got May 11th. May 25th is the holiday
Yeah.
for Memorial Day. So I wanted to see if everybody's comfortable with May 11th, and then we can probably look at the June.
Okay.
Or if you want to meet another time in May, we can figure out the date now.
I would say if there's nothing pressing going on, you know, it would be one of those things where it would just come from you. If you don't think there's a need for a meeting,
Sure.
we don't have to be here. And I think you know, May 11th, I'm trying to think, we don't have whatchamacallit this year. We don't have
Hazardous waste.
hazardous waste, so that year we're always big in getting
Yeah.
meetings in right before that. So the next major event for the board, really, there is no, because we don't have any food clinics in the spring and there's no household hazardous waste day. So yeah, if I'm fine with May 11th,
Okay.
and then we can look at, I know there have been questions by other departments, by the TV. Chris he left. He had said he'd like to move us opposite the selectmen, because he said a lot of times we're struggling. He would depend on who's in this room on the opposite Monday nights. So right now I'd say let's stay with the 11th and then see if what Chris is looking for us to do.
Maybe
shake it
Yeah,
up a little
so
bit.
because a lot of times it's difficult for the TV station to go from here to there and back to us and everything.
Sure.
So
Yep.
that would be between you and Chris and how you think things can be handled. I don't know, maybe on Monday nights the planning board, the other Monday nights the planning board has this room. I don't know, so,
Yeah.
It would
the
depend.
Planning is, I think, Tuesday, but.
okay. But there may be somebody else, so if you look at the schedule,
Sure.
we can look into June or July and see what works for Chris, because he said it has been a little tough for the TV station, and he likes to get everything out live if possible. So, just trying to help Chris out, but he left, so.
Okay. And then I know in the past, sometimes for the summer months, June, July, August.
September, October, November. Just kidding.
That's fine. I'm good with
Well-
that too, but I also want to respect you know, we're going into warmer months, so if, in the past, do you consider one meeting a month if I mean, I know you're very flexible if we have something pressing to hold the 2 spots, and then if we need it, great. If we don't, then we can take it off. That's really your decision.
Yeah, we've,
Yeah.
for the years I've been on the board, we try and schedule 1 per month for June, July, and August. If there's something pressing, then we'll add a date if need be. But I think because of travel and because people like to go down the beach and everything like that,
Yes,
so,
with the grandchildren.
you know, to make sure that we have the staffing we need for the meetings, we usually try and do 1. And I think at the May meeting, I know in the past years, in the May meeting, the last May meeting, we've sat down and tried to hammer out 3 dates in the 3 months so that we can try and make sure everybody's going to be there.
Okay.
If we can schedule those out in advance, and if there's a specialty, something else comes up that you need us for, then we can do that as it comes. If
Okay.
we need anything.
So
All
do-
right.
Have another engagement on the 11th.
You do have something on the 11th, okay?
I won't make it here.
Okay.
The 4th is not good for me,
No, no,
but the how's the 18th?
it's open for me right now.
I
With
actually,
you
yeah, I wouldn't be available the
Okay.
18th, but that's not, Eileen,
Oh, no.
I think will be.
Are-
Not me
are
either.
you
I
avail-
did the whole
All right, so
week
the 11th will be
school.
Marion and I.
one school.
Okay.
The 11th, Marion and I can make it right now. I have no
Okay.
problem with the 11th.
Are you okay for the 11th?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
looking at her.
awesome.
Yeah, she's empty.
Okay.
I put you down. I am empty, but look at this. This is this. I mean, look at schools.
Hey,
All
good.
schools.
Hey, keeping yourself busy.
Oh, I
Don't
know
you,
it.
don't you love retirement?
They need you.
Oh, can you-
Schools
can you
love
help me
having
out?
you, I'm
Can you
sure.
come in this month? Can you come this week?
Okay,
All right,
is there
awesome.
anything else
So
we
keep
need
the
to
11th.
discuss?
The 11th.
The 11th works.
Okay, great.
All right.
There'll be 2 of us, so. Any other questions or concerns?
I don't think so.
All right.
Do I have a motion?
I make that motion.
What motion? What motion you making?
Make the motion that we,
Close?
the meeting.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, have a good night.
Yay.